I've had a few questions about how to perform different effects on the trumpet. Here are a couple that sound similar but differ in their execution. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Brian from Airflow Music. Alongside publishing our books for brass players, we've been producing a bunch of videos with tips to make brass playing easier for you. So if you're new here, please subscribe to the Airflow Music channel so you're notified of all of our videos. There are many ways we can change our sound on the trumpet. Of course, there are mutes and things of that nature, but also there are a number of effects we can use. Recently I was asked to talk a little about growling and flutter tonguing. They're interesting to group together since they affect the sound in a similar way, but are both executed quite differently. In case you're not sure how growling and flutter tonguing sound, allow me to demonstrate. I'm going to play a simple scale fragment, first with my regular sound, then with a growl, and lastly with a flutter tongue. Now, let's talk about how to do them. Really, I should say that this is how I do them. This is very much in the realm of things I've picked up over the years, usually in conversation with other players when I've needed to make a particular effect happen on a gig. This video represents how they were explained or demonstrated to me, and what I've figured out that works for me. Growling. The growl, as the name suggests, is actually performed by singing or growling along vocally as you play, making this kind of vocal sound, ah, behind the trumpet sound. It can be a little tricky to coordinate at first. It was one of those things that took me some time to figure out and incorporate. For me, it works better if I can sing with a growlier or raspier tone. The sort of interference I get in my sound just sounds better to me that way. Not worrying too much about the pitch of what I'm singing. As far as I'm concerned, it's not like I'm trying to perform multiphonics or anything like that, which would require a specific pitch. This is just about the effect, so if it sounds a bit ragged, that's probably for the best. Flutter tongue. The flutter tongue is also pretty much as the name suggests. You create a flutter in your sound with your tongue as you play. There are a couple of ways to do this. The first method, I guess what you might call the official way to flutter tongue, is to roll your R's as you play, in the same way that you might when you're speaking, making this sound. In this case, the front of your tongue flutters, and it causes a similar raspiness in the sound. The trouble with this is that not everybody can roll their R's. Personally, even though I can roll my R's when I speak, I find it difficult to coordinate while I'm playing, apart from in a fairly small range of notes in the staff. I find it much easier to employ method 2. The other way to get the flutter in your sound is to use your throat on the back of your tongue. It's very similar to gargling, and without the trumpet sounds something like this. Also potentially used as a Chewbacca impression. When added to the sound of the trumpet, it sounds more or less the same as method 1. I find this much easier to coordinate as I'm playing, and I find that it interferes with the airflow less, so I can do it in a much wider range. I don't have any hard and fast method for developing any of these effects apart from to simply try them out. Listen to a good example of them on a recording and try to imitate based on what I've explained here. Flutter tonguing is not uncommon in orchestral music, particularly in some early to mid 20th century American works. An obvious example that springs to mind for me is George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. There's a couple spots in there. Both growling and fluttering are much more prevalent in both jazz and big band music. Cootie Williams, for many years the great trumpet soloist with the Duke Ellington Orchestra, used both fairly extensively. That's actually in common with many players who went through Ellington's ranks. He's one of the great examples of how they can sound. Most often they are used in conjunction with the plunger mute, either individually or together, for that real gut bucket sound. I'll find a couple of examples on YouTube and post some links in the description below. Have fun checking them out. I hope you found this helpful. If so, please hit that like button. It really does make a big difference if you do. And remember to subscribe to the Airflow Music channel if you haven't already. I'll be back on Monday with another exercise of the week, and again next Friday with more trumpet pro tips. In the meantime, please visit airflowmusic.com and check out the various books, exercises and other merchandise we have on offer. All sales directly support making these videos. I'll see you next time. Until then, go practice.